Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to the Unable Seaman podcast, the podcast designed to take a light-hearted look at all things boating and fishing in New Zealand. I'm your host, Jay Kerr, and joining me once again is my first mate, best mate, Christian Jensen. How are you, mate?
Oh, isn't it great to be back here again? It feels like it wasn't that long ago.
Well, it wasn't. We've gone from doing these things sporadically, like we say every month, and it's more sort of 6
Every
weeks,
fall.
and now it's 4 or 5 days. There's an air of sort of organisation that doesn't normally happen on this podcast, to be fair.
Oh, this is good, eh? And you know what? This is actually the one time I organised something for us and actually did a bit of prep.
You've stepped up. Christian normally turns up about a minute before we go live and says, right, what are we talking about? But this week, credit where credit's due, this man has fronted up and he's organised an amazing guest who we'll introduce in a moment. However, a bit of admin before that. First of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's tuned in and to everyone who's contacted us over the last couple of days about our last episode. Thank you so much. We really appreciate everyone listening and reaching out. And I also just want to extend our thanks once again to Flynn from Flynn Jack Fishing. We just were blown away with him and really enjoyed hearing his stories and what a great young man, eh, Christian?
He's pretty cool, eh? He's got some good yarns and he's mature for his age. Like, holy cow.
Certainly more mature than you were at 14, but that's not saying much. Just to quickly, though, what we got Flynn to do is once he left, I got him to pick his 4 favourite jigs. Obviously, he's a catch-sponsored fisherman, so I got him to pick his 4 favourite jigs, and I've gone and bought them. So I've bought them, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually not even going to use them. I've put money into this now, Christian. Here we are. Here we're at the big time. What I'm going to do is after this episode, if you share this on your social media, so Instagram or whatever social media you use, and you send us or tag us in it or copy us in it somehow, I'll keep a record there. Next weekend, I'm going to do a draw, and I'm going to send those lures to you. Yep. If you're the lucky person. So if all you need to do is share the podcast. You can share, and I can guarantee you're not going to win it though.
Oh, okay.
But it would be good as the co-host if you would maybe share 1 or 2 things. That would be fantastic.
I just want to clarify. You're best to link Jake into this here because I don't actually check out social media.
No, you're best to link our Instagram page. Thank you, Christian.
Instagram.
It's
That's right.
Unable Seaman. Yes.
I see that Instagram all the time.
Yes. Anyway, moving on.
Jake looks up.
As we said, we have a very special guest in the house this week. Fresh off filming his latest season of his big hit TV show, we, of course, have the one, the only, the world famous Michael Mig Rumney. G'day, mate. How are you?
Hey team. Hello. How's it going? What an intro.
Do you like that? That's professional.
Yeah.
Mate. Jake does a good job.
I'm not. Yeah, he does do a good job, actually. It's better than we get most other places, mate.
It's
good.
Can this be my audition for the show, perhaps? Maybe, no?
Well, possibly. We'll see how the rest of this chat goes, mate. So,
probably downhill, to be fair.
Might be in with a chance.
How are you?
Yeah, good, man. Not too bad. Just, obviously kicking it back in lockdown times at the moment. So, it's all good. Just a bit of family vibes and obviously not much fishing happening at this end of the country.
No.
Isn't it? So, Jake, that's how I got him. I got him when he was weak.
Yeah.
He's a smart character.
And I was like, he's not doing anything. He can't get out fishing.
He no excuse, eh? Yeah.
No, good strategic move from Christian there.
Yeah, well done.
I suppose for the listeners, this is where it's a bit of a small world. Rumney and myself, we used to go to school together at the mighty Western Heights High School. So big shout out to that high school there. He's going places, and I'm in Porirua.
Oh, I can't.
Hey, that's a place. That's a place.
That is a place.
It's not a very good place, but it's a place.
Good fishing, West Coast access. Boom, out to Hunter's Bank.
Yeah.
So,
mate.
So, Mig, we know you as one of the hosts of obviously Fishing and Adventure, but for those that, most people listening to this, I'm sure will know you because the show is huge and it's on TV. But for those that don't know you, tell them a little bit about the show, and then before that, where it started and how you got into fishing.
Yeah, so try and keep this sort of a reasonably long story because they're up to so season 9 of Fishing and Adventure. So it's 9 years of doing the show. So Fishing and Adventure, I guess back when we sort of developed the concept, sort of at that stage, there was no Big Angry Fish, which is another TV show. There was the two old boys, Jeff Thomas and Graham Sinclair, doing their thing, and we thought there was a nice, a gap in the market there for a nice high energy sort of entertaining fishing show. So that's what we developed, I guess, a pilot at the start there for that, and then pushed that really, really hard and managed to get on TV get those first couple of seasons over the line. Pumped heaps of money into it and heaps of time, and then Fishing and Adventure developed, and now it's able to be our full-time jobs, which is pretty bloody epic, because that was always the dream, was to be able to do it full time. And to be honest, those early years, I never thought it would be. I thought it would be a sort of, do it on the side, be able to have to work, juggle another job, and do Fishing and Adventure, which was that was not a bad thing either. But and Fishing and Adventure, I guess, is like I say, been rolling along for 9 years, which is a little bit hard to believe sometimes. And
isn't that crazy, man? I can't believe it.
And we have, I guess, our different format that we went with, an entertaining sort of fishing show, was having either a challenge or a challenge fish. And if we don't get that challenge fish, there's a consequence at the end. And that consequence can be anything from putting cow shit, essentially, in our faces, hot sauce, deep heat in our undies.
Oh, I've seen some rubbish ones. You had that rotten milk or something that was feral.
Oh, yep.
Rat
absolutely.
Traps? Was it mouse traps?
Mouse traps.
Brutal.
What's been the worst one? What's been the one that you really just it sends a shiver down your spine just thinking about it?
There's some grossies.
To be fair, it was probably when it was called the bungee wedgie, and we hooked my underwear up to the back of our Holden Colorado, which was a vehicle sponsor at the time, and then Scott drove away at quite a rate of knots with the hope that it was going to rip my undies off. What actually happened was the undies didn't rip; they kind of broke, but then it pulled me back and then onto the concrete driveway. I chipped my tooth. My old mate was hanging out. There was all sorts of X-rated stuff going on. So literally, you'll see in that particular show, it'll pull me out of frame, and that's all that could have gone on TV, because the rest of it was completely X-rated. It was shocking.
Brutal.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's in like the opening montage, that little just the bit you said at the start.
So you'll spot it in there now.
Is that recently? Because I can't remember that one. That
was possibly either last season or the season before. So I think it was season 8. It was season 8. Yeah. So you'll find it in season 8 promo as well. It's in there.
Body on the line, eh? Dude.
Man, I still got the chip in my tooth too.
Have you?
It's not
coming to the screen, isn't it, gaze?
Oh yeah, I can't. I don't know that you'll see it. It's too small.
I
think where it was. I went to the dentist the other day, and she said it's not worth fixing just yet. So.
Oh yeah. You also did one that was real cool, where you were biscuiting behind, the other person was shooting you with a paintball gun.
Oh, yeah, classic. This is classic. Yeah,
brutal.
Yeah. So we did distraction sea biscuiting and distraction wakeboarding, just all sorts of that cool stuff. Because our challenge was a little bit different, and I guess in the early seasons we had the challenge sort of at the start as a standalone segment, and then you just did the consequence at the end of the show, and then in the middle was just some cool fishing. So we didn't sort of incorporate the challenge into the fishing as much. So. Back in those days, we did heaps of cool stuff with distraction, mouse trap, sort of like obstacle courses and all sorts of stuff. But there's definitely some cool stuff back then. But it's a bit easier now with the challenge fish. We go out with a plan, and then we can try and execute. And if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. So
and that's something as a consumer and someone who watches it, obviously, where I've definitely noticed there has been a shift and I suppose a maturity in some ways from those challenges. But just before we get to that, because that is one of my questions I want to pick up on. But what makes you guys different? And I don't mean in terms of other fishing shows, but in terms of everyone else, because every Kiwi male who's held a fishing rod, I'm sure would love to have their own fishing show. Like that's the dream, right? Christian and I, it's been the dream for Christian and I. We've never got there. I mean, Christian's lack of catching fish was sort of prevented him. And
somewhat problematic.
You've got to ask me. You've actually got to ask me at some stage about my most recent fishing adventure. We'll get back to that.
Well, I'm sure people I'm sure people don't want to hear from Michael Mig Rumney from Fishing and Adventure, and they want to hear from you. But but just going back to the question there, how did you because you must have had some no's, and you must have had just, you walk in with this idea and people go, well, why you two? Like, what's special about you two?
Oh, really? I sometimes wonder that myself, to be fair, but there was just a lot of drive and determination, and I think it fell at the right time. We were able to put, I think I got to a point there where I had probably $50 in my bank account. I was living week to week. So not everybody has the ability to be able to do that. Like we were big borrowing and stealing, well, not so much stealing, but as everything we could to get over the line. And I guess we're at a point where no mortgage, no kids. We were enthusiastic, and we just, oh man, I don't know. And the things fell right for us. We had a meeting with a production company that were going to charge us $180,000 to produce the first season of Fishing and Adventure. And we're like, yep, sweet. Okay, we'll go and get some sponsors. And then absolutely didn't get that anywhere near that amount of money. But we ran into our cameraman that we had for 8 years, who used to skateboard with Scott, who is also the co-host of a co-creator of Fishing and Adventure. So that fell into our lap, and then he decided to pick it up on the side of his other job, and did it on the smell of an oily rag for us. And then we managed to just build from that. So that was massive as well, because there's just the production of that is huge. And he already had that experience of dealing with networks and all the pre-delivery stuff that comes with editing a show. You can't just put it all together on a sort of iMovie iPhone timeline and then send it off to a TV network. Like, there's a lot more that goes into it.
Sure.
So
Mate,
yeah,
that sounds like it's been a freaking tough ride. And now of course you've got a kid, and you're running a fishing show with a kid, and you're away quite often. Yeah. No, it's pretty pretty intense. So yeah, I had a little girl in March, and then we pretty much filmed a couple of weeks after that. We kicked into our filming schedule, which meant I was away for pretty much 2 months, which was pretty rough. And that's the first time, this season was the first time we had hard deadlines to shoot. So it was, definitely an interesting ride, but it's like, I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, those hard times back in the day, it's just what we need to do to get it across the line, and it was still great fun. But yeah, it does mean that we can now reap the rewards of what we've done, have a bit more of a budget. We can sort of cruise around a bit more, and it's
absolutely.
Good.
So you sort of spoke of season one and that point of difference with the challenges and stuff. What did you learn over that season one in particular, and maybe some of the other seasons too? I mean, you've had different sponsors. You had Brian as a boat sponsor, for example, only for that season, I believe.
Yeah.
A Finor Fishing Gear, I think you were with back then. Is that?
Yeah, so, no, season one we were with Shimano. So we had Shimano on board for season one, which was actually that was probably one of the most sought after ones initially when we were starting up. We didn't know much about it, but we had a couple of Shimano rods. We were like, oh yeah, that'll do. Ironically, we had Shimano and Okuma, and then we ended up getting sponsored by both of those.
That's awesome.
Both of those too. But yeah, so it's Shimano, we've had Finor in the past, and then we've had Okuma, I think, for the last seven years, I think. So yeah. But yeah, like that first year, I think the learnings we came back from that was because we even had costumes and fully themed episodes for those seasons. And I think we just wound it back a little bit. You can still find those on YouTube if you dig deep enough. But,
which we have.
We have. And you can even find your pilot video on YouTube.
Oh, real. That real old school, like walking down a wharf. So that pilot video, or some of that pilot video, was shot by my brother with a Handycam, and then the other parts of it were edited by that original production company. So yeah, it was pretty hard case stuff. But awesome. There were definitely some learnings from those first few seasons, and I think those were the learning seasons, and we start to really found our sort of gel by season 4, season 5, which you can still track down on either YouTube or TVNZ on demand. Like that season 5, I think, was a real cracker for us, and some good trips in there. So yeah, you just do have to learn, and you do have to evolve. And we're in the game where if you don't evolve, you just sit stale. So it might seem like you're always fresh, but almost every season we try and mix it up somehow, whether it's a format change or try and improve our production. But yeah, you always have to try and mix it up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think one of the things that makes your show successful, and you mentioned at the time when Fishing and Adventure first came around, you had sort of Jeff Thomas and Graham Sinclair, but I think having you and then obviously your cousin Scott is the two of you on camera and the interplay. You know, famous shows like Top Gear, for example. People who don't even care about cars watch it because of the interplay of the three characters. And I think some of that is awesome, true with your show, in that it's two people who love fishing but love giving each other a bit of grief too. And I think that resonates with so many Kiwi males who, let's face it, sometimes you're not catching much, so you end up starting giving each other a bit of grief, and you're firing at them with a paintball and all these sorts of things you guys do. Like, I think it connects with people.
Yeah, cheers, man. Yeah, it's we think so, and like that's definitely the thing that overwhelmingly comes back is that sort of banter between Scott and I, and that sort of, I guess, grassroots attitude of not everything has to go right or be perfect. Like, we show the muck ups. Like, if there's something that happens that doesn't work, you show a lost fish. You learn along the way, because that's what people do. And then obviously that banter and all that other stuff around it is just comes naturally when you've got Scott, who's the older cousin, Mig's the younger cousin, and there's a bit of flack going each way. It's and it's good. You're comfortable enough. You've got a comfortable workplace to be able to do that, which is cool and fun.
Yeah. I always know who's going to be losing the challenges. Eh?
Oh, mate, come on now.
You do seem to take a hammering, bro. I'm not going to lie.
Man,
is it like Jason
absolute shocker.
Naturally, I catch more fish, so he's always losing.
Yeah, I did have the figures, and it was something. Oh, let me just quickly jump out of here. Hopefully, I can.
So it's not even planned. It's not even planned.
I did a speech at our season launch. So let me have a quick look here. Up to season 8. So this is not including season 9. There's been a total of 74 consequences. 39 consequences done by both Scott and I together. So they're like the joint challenge that you might lose. 26 done by myself alone, and then a grand total of 9 done by Scott.
Wow,
so those figures are absolutely shocking.
I'm sure there's some sort of employment laws that you could be quoting there, some sort of bullying.
I think so. Yeah, workplace harassment might be right up there. But
how about that? He gets to go fishing, call it his workplace, and get bullied there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I know. Great, eh? Awesome. Yeah. Cool. But to be fair, the last few years we have been running a challenge, which means that you have to catch a challenge fish, which means I haven't been able to catch that challenge fish. Thus the consequences. So maybe it's more on me being a bit hopeless.
Yeah,
it could be.
It's just the way it is.
You're still out there giving a jam.
I'm not complaining. Yeah. On the day, we don't have to do the consequence on the day half the time. Most of the time, they're done sort of at a later date, so you don't have to worry about
brutal delay.
Punishment. Yeah, that's right. It's in the back of your mind the whole time, but yeah. But it does definitely make you want to fish a little bit harder sometimes. Like you know that we've got some absolutely shocking ideas in the bank, and you're going to end up doing one of them sometime.
Yeah.
So, can you give us? Are you allowed to tell us what one of your up and coming consequences may or may not be?
Oh, good.
That'd be spoiling, Christian.
Well, it doesn't have to tell us it's going to be the next season's consequence. But have you got one tracker you would, if for our listeners, if they heard this right now, they could see it and go, I heard it first on
Unable Seaman. Let me have a little think. We have got some crackers coming up. My memory is hopeless because I've done too many consequences and I've lost too many brain cells doing them.
I mean, if I can sort of sympathise with you a little bit, like, because my consequence is actually going fishing with Christian. So it actually doesn't matter what I catch. There's a consequence every week.
The whole time. It's just like, Christian's going to be there.
Yeah.
I know that a few that are coming up, and you're not going to know who's doing them, so it doesn't matter that I leak them. But it is very. I'm only doing it for you guys, mind you. So
scoop here on Unable Seaman. How good?
Exclusive Unable Seaman. Exclusive.
What?
So I think what we do have coming. Oh, did that one air? Oh God, boys, I'm failing. We have.
It's a real person.
I am Oh no, we got that challenge. Okay, we've got some. I think coffee grounds and a hot chili sauce shot. So like a whole coffee ground thing in your mouth, and then with hot chili sauce with it. Absolute shocker. So
that's gritty, and you got to get that down there.
It's just dry. Like, I love coffee, but you don't like. Just imagine cleaning your coffee machine out and then just shoving that in your mouth.
Yeah.
And then just munching away on it.
No,
it's not ideal.
I don't want to imagine it.
No,
You guys are feral, eh? Is that
So,
yeah, relatively rough. I'm trying to think of what else we've got. We've got a Marine Deals in-store consequence coming up. So that
Brilliant.
one of them will end up with one of us being shipped off to an unknown location. So those are always quite fun to do. And then we've also got a whole lot of burley getting tipped on us from an incredibly high height out of a bit of higher pool equipment. So that's always good. So there's a couple of three there.
Just dumps burley and guts and mate,
the whole lot.
Yeah,
try and keep every orifice shut when that happens. I can tell you.
I was going to say you've had a couple of stinky feral ones, like you talked about the cow poo and the rotten milk. How do you clean it out, man? How long does it stay with you for?
Honestly, they stay with you a lot longer than they air on TV. So on TV, they're 30 seconds or like 20 seconds, and there's hours of stink or pain or uncomfortableness. It's just absolutely shocking. But they do take a little while. I remember after deep heat in the undies, it was in the shower with the shower rose down there, just trying to soothe that ache for quite some time.
That hurting's got to be hurting.
The things you do for the price of fame, I suppose, what you'd say.
Hey, here you go, Jake. I'm saving you from this, okay?
Yes, you are. So apart from the consequences, because obviously you just told us about they're pretty full on, what are the other downsides to making a fishing show, or the biggest frustrations you have? I mean, from the outside, there's the glitz, the glamour of it. You're on TV, you're given all these cool products to use. What are some frustrations or something you wish that people watching it knew, or like a frustration? You go, oh man, I wish they knew this.
Yeah, probably the faff, just the absolute faff around filming. So when we leave in the morning, it's not just boosting out, getting to your fishing zone, dropping your rod, jigging up some fish. It's like it's on at the boat ramp, cameras out, filming all of that. Going out the harbour, talking to the cameras, mucking around, get the drone up. Meantime, the sun's coming up. That morning, that epic part of the morning you're missing, and then you get out there and it's drop your jigs down. It's just a lot of faff. So I thoroughly enjoy the times that we don't have to shoot, when we don't have to film while we're fishing. But it's unfortunately not often enough. But it's probably be the one thing that you're good for people to know, but it's also it's just part of the job. Like, it's absolutely fine. But
we need to see it, I suppose.
And it just takes a lot longer to get fishing. It's so frustrating when you're just waiting, the drone's getting set up, and then it's calibrating, and then you got to calibrate it again, and then you launch it, and then try and catch it again, and then everybody. It's all yays and hoorays when the drone lands back on the boat successfully, but. In between that time, you're just waiting to get to that fishing spot and get a line in the water, because that's the thing. We don't have days and weeks to do what we do. You've only got like a day, and you've seen that in the time limit that we've put on the shows this year, just to emphasize that, is that we don't have a lot of time. So you just have to make the most of that. Pretty much only a 1 day shoot for the fishing stuff. So it gets a bit stressful.
So an episode for TV is 22 minutes. Is that right?
22 minutes, yep.
How much filming, and so it's two questions. How much filming goes into that, and then how much work in an hourly rate goes into making a 22-minute episode?
Oh, yeah, it'd be hard to... So the 22-minute episode, usually 1 day fishing, and then there'll be a couple of days with travel, and then shooting around that location. So it might be a bit of shooting before. We might get a launching shot done the afternoon before, and then we shoot out fishing the next day, and then consequences, and then our essential segment that we slide in the middle of it. But the editing is probably where the massive grind is. So there's about at least a week and a half to 2 weeks per episode in the edit suite.
Wow.
So that's mental, like absolutely mental. That's two people. So we had our cameraman editor for the last 8 years, so up to season 8, which was our guy from season 1. And then this year we've picked up a new joker. So he's been our social media marketing guy for the last couple of years, David. So you would have seen him on the show too. So he's quite often in the background doing our underwater stuff, or just behind the scenes. he's picked up the editing role of Fishing Adventure. So it's him and Scott usually in the edit suite. And they don't usually like my input, so I just I get demoted to organising stuff in the shed. But
Sweep the floor.
Yeah, no, it's
man,
that's
a week
pretty
to 2
mental
weeks.
part of behind the scenes, man. Yeah. Like
Is that like 8 hours a day for 2 weeks?
Pretty much, yeah. Especially for David, like he pushes hard, like, and doesn't muck around. Like he is a bloody workhorse. And he's honestly, he's never ever done anything like this before. He's edited a few online videos and he's done a bit of our online stuff. And this year he's picked up the full role of editing the whole show and delivering to the network, as well as doing a color grade on the show. So going through each individual shot and tweaking the colors on it and making it work. So it's a mental job that he's picked up.
To be fair, we got a little taste of it, Christian? Remember, Christian and I did a video which hasn't aired because we haven't finished editing it, because we exactly what you're saying. We did a race from Auckland City to Coromandel Harbour. Christian was on a 50cc scooter and I was in a sailing dinghy, which was cool. And I won't give away the result on air, but what I couldn't believe is you've got all these different cameras going, and you'd be the same. You got GoPro One and all the drones and stuff, and then you've got to like watch all this footage, find out what's good, because some of it isn't, and then so that would go well with that, and it's just a spider web. It really opened my eyes, that process. And I can only imagine it's times 10 for a production that's going to go on TV. Yeah, and our new cameraman that we picked up for this season just loves a GoPro angle. So almost every shot you've got 2 or 3 GoPros getting different angles, and so it's definitely intense. And there's lots of cameras to look through. Lots of different footage that gets that, and even fish, to be fair, like we get to that 22 minutes and you sometimes have to cut out whole fish. Wow. So one of our shows that aired on the weekend, it only showed us catching 1 5-kilo trevally. I think we ended up getting 2 or 3 trevally at that particular spot, but they just had to shorten that segment up so that it just made sense. And we didn't need, sometimes less is more. So you don't need fish after fish after fish. You sort of need that little bit of structure of like getting to a spot. And it's not a montage show. It's a TV show, and sometimes we have to sort of remember that too. That it's quality over quantity any day, and we've definitely acknowledged that over the last few years too. Okay, that surprises me, because when I asked that question about the biggest frustration, I thought you were going to say catching fish. You're paying the camera guys there, and everyone's there, and it's a nice day, and the boat's mint, and the bloody fish won't play ball. And I would have thought, geez, we need to film this episode. So I'm surprised to hear the reverse is true there, sort of, which was interesting.
Yeah, no, the fish, I don't know, man. The fish, we always manage to get over the line with the fish. I feel like we, and not to talk myself up, or talk ourselves up, but we're pretty lucky that we're able to have every rod under the sun that we can do anything. We can go stick baiting, soft baiting, stray lining, and we've got all of that on the boat. So if we need to flip the script, we can, and we can do it. But most of the time, we don't need to. But we're going to areas, I guess, the fishy areas, and we've got good electronics that we can sort of, find where the fish are, and we can always get something over the line with the fishing. Most of the time, touch wood, this last season's been bloody good for that.
So you're never going to do an episode sort of like Lee Hart and Screaming Eels?
I wouldn't. Well, to be honest, we did do an episode a few years back in Tauranga Harbour where we didn't actually land a fish. So most people would recognise it, but we did bronzy fishing in the harbour, and then we didn't land a fish. They just broke us off before we could get them on board, and then we went out. I think it was to land a game fish, because technically bronze railer sharks are a game fish. And then we went out wide and then did some marlin fishing, hooked one, dropped it, hooked another one, and dropped it right at the boat. So, we didn't actually land a fish technically in that whole episode. So I think it's somewhat similar to good old Screaming Reels.
I think they were a whole season without catching something. So you've got a little way to go that to match them.
Yeah,
I suppose that's a good time to bring up the next question, which is like, how do you keep the show interesting? I mean, you've done 9 seasons now. Do you ever get to a point where you're sitting there sort of scratching your head going, how do we keep this going here? Now, I want to say that as an avid watcher, I don't think you certainly haven't reached that, because you're doing some awesome things. But is it hard sometimes? You're sitting there going, "Oh, crikey!" Or I suppose a follow-up question to that would be: sometimes are you frustrated that you want to film this certain storyline here because you think it'd be cool, but the audience is saying nah. The audience wants you to go and catch snapper in the Coromandel mussel farms, and it's like, oh, really? Again, we want to do this. So how do you keep it going?
Yeah. I guess we're always. I'll try and start off with the main question. So every year we do a big brainstorming session. So we have get all of the team together. So that'll be Scott, myself, Ben, who is Scott's brother and also does our underwater camera work, David, our other cousin Andre, who's been behind the scenes for years, and then a couple of the other boys, and we'll get everybody in a room pretty much almost for a whole day of just yarning about ideas for fishing and adventure and where we can go. So those would be locations, target, challenge fish, and all of that. And then they all do get condensed down throughout the season with where the weather's good and all that sort of stuff. So we're definitely never short of ideas of where we can go, but sometimes the reality of it is that we can only get to this place in our time frame. So that's why you do see a few episodes in the Bay of Plenty and then a few episodes in the Hodaki Gulf, because they're our shit, we don't have a lot of time, the weather's good, let's go there and we have to film. So sometimes we do get shit, scratch our head, what are we going to do here? But we just pull it together and then try and think of a way we can mix it up. It's not just snapper and kingies. We have to include the humble John Dory and Trevally and the harpooker, and then all the rest of that. Heaps of variation. That's key to keeping it, I think, fresh for the punters. They don't want to just see snapper kingies every week or game fish every week. They want to be seeing something different, and that's the whole format of the show is based around that too. So this year we managed to get all of our episodes done before we went to air, so we're able to sort of schedule the episode so that it's not just snapper, kingies, harpooker. We could throw them all in between, and it keeps it nice and fresh.
Okay, nice.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate too, because one of the episodes you were down here in sort of my hood in Wellington. Over at was it not Castle Point? It was Cape Palliser, was it?
It was Tora.
That's right.
Yeah.
Was that the lockdown episode?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That boat ramp that you launched off, I've got 3 or 4 decent crays right at that boat ramp.
Yeah, man. That was mental, honestly, that launch. So you can find that in our TVNZ On Demand from last season. And it was absolutely, there was a dude freediving when we launched, and it's like this little gap in the rocks. For those of you that don't know of Tora, and not many of you will, I'm sure, it's a pretty low key.
Out of the way, eh?
It's out the way and out the gate. It's but like that little gap in the rocks was blown away by dynamite from an old mate back in the day that wanted to be able to launch his boat. So you drop in with a tractor, and then there's a dog leg to get out over pretty much breaking waves, and
to avoid more rocks that are going to peel your hull open.
Yeah, and it's very tidal. Like there's no way you're getting in and out of there around low tide. You have to get it all right. So and that was our first. So we rocked up there. Man, I don't know what time we got there. It was 3 or 4 in the morning, and then got up, and our cameraman was incredibly sick. So very sick. So we were the dude that that took us to that place, walked out in the morning and he was like, your old mate's sick. And we were like, oh shit, we're thinking he's probably got COVID-19, because that was back in the early days and we didn't really know what it was. Turns out it wasn't vomiting and shitting yourself, but it was. So those aren't the symptoms.
It's lucky
for those of you that need to know. And then we managed to get out around 9 o'clock that morning, come back in, and then it was announced that we're going to level 4. So it was a big old drive, 8 hours back to home. So absolutely crazy, man. It was a big old trip. So it's and we're actually really lucky that we were filming a little bit of behind the scenes, that we were just going to chuck on a bit of a vlog for online, and the bulk of that vlog footage ended up being part of the episode in that one because of all the goings on behind the scenes.
Wow. It was epic, man.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Mental.
I was gutted you didn't give me a call up and cruise over to the old side.
They must have lost your number, Christian.
That's
right, Meg. I do that all the time.
Mate.
Yeah.
I'm taking it out.
I'm sure I rang you. Yeah. No, that was the whole plan though. We had gone down there because our Wellington punters have been wanting us to get down there for years, and we had the opportunity to go to Tora, and which was cool. And we had scheduled like a good 7 days to do our Tora episode, and then also get over and then do the fish that Kapiti region as well. So that was the whole plan. It was going to be epic, and that was like we had weather options on both sides, so you could just cruise over. If Tora wasn't any good, we could go, West Coast East, so good. So yeah, it didn't end up eventuating, unfortunately, but hopefully we can. It is in the pipeline. That's always on the brainstorming list of things to do.
Nice
to head back down there for sure,
mate. So, if you ever need some free diving mates, there's a couple of guys here that are like absolute stars.
Stars.
I even think they're fishery officers too, so they can make sure your powers are all up to scratch.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, nice. All right.
No, not me. This is a couple of Chelsea mates.
A couple of actual professionals.
Yeah. Actual professionals, not.
Nice.
Jake won't ever get in the water. He doesn't like crayfish. He's petrified of them.
Christian, I'm just amused that you think you need to sort of recommend friends for Mig, the host of the New Zealand's leading fishing show. Mate, that I'm sure he doesn't have people.
We always need friends.
There we go. Yeah.
Mig, I'm going to come to you with this question in a minute, so get your answer ready. And I'm giving you more time because I think you'll need to think about it. But your favourite, favourite moment on Fishing and Adventure. I'm going to throw that question to Christian just quickly, mate. You've obviously watched the show for 9 seasons. What's your favourite moment of Fishing and Adventure, and why?
Easy. There's actually two. There's one where you're fishing away, and no one's looking at one of the fishing rods, and I think it's only a GoPro catches it, and the rod just goes bang, and just explodes. And I was like, holy
absolutely mental.
That was epic. I've never seen that before. And the second one. Oh, sorry, you going?
No, carry on, bro. Yeah, no, it's all good.
Oh, wait. The second one was just when you're biscuiting in the waves and you get sent.
Yeah.
I think that's season 2 or something.
That's season 1, man. That was our jet ski fishing episode. Yeah, we fished off lost the challenge at the start of the episode, had to fish off a sea biscuit for the rest of the episode. So that was good fun, jigging for kingfish off a sea biscuit. So if you missed that, definitely tune into that on YouTube. But good old ramping. So that's a thing that Scotty had developed back in the day out in front of where his uncle's got a farm. So it's pretty sick. There's the waves just sit up perfectly, and there's enough room to get a jet ski in there safely and just flick you up on a wave. It's pretty epic.
But you get sent 6 meters or something stupid.
Yeah. Easy. Yeah, man. It's properly sick. It's good fun.
It's in the opening montage of the show, isn't it? That one particular moment where you touch the moon nearly.
Yeah, he's like a ragdoll being thrown into the sky.
Yeah. So you can get some epic sessions doing that. Like it's great fun.
You still do that?
Christian?
I haven't done it in years. Probably breaks all sorts of actually maritime rules when you think about it these days. But it's back in season 1, mate. There were no such thing as rules. I've just realised why Christian's not getting invited on your trips. His 2 favourite moments were your rod getting nearly smashed and you getting thrown in the surf in there. Yeah. Well, I've got a genuine moment here which I really enjoyed, but it's not you getting hurt. My favourite moment of the show was actually the episode, the 2-part in season 6 where you went to Doubtful Sound. Yep.
You shipped the boat down, like hell of a journey. You shipped the boat down there. You went across Lake Manapuri, I think it's called.
Manapuri.
Man, what a trip! Like that just made me proud to be a Kiwi watching that.
Yeah, man, absolutely epic mission that was. It's probably still our favourite. One of our favourite trips is that Fiordland mission, and it resounds with the punters as well. Just the whole mission, and then what we were able to achieve down there was our first time in there, and to have to be doing it on Holy Ship was pretty bloody sick. Like the challenge fish that we were trying to get with the bluefin tuna, 3 kilo cray, the deer, I think a 2 kilo blue cod, and a shallow water harpooker. We never ever thought like any of that was going to be. Well, we thought we might get a couple of them, and then we got so bloody close and just couldn't get the shallow water harpooker, which we thought would be one of the easier ones to get from the stories that we'd heard down there. So epic mission that one, and it's probably right up there, one of our favorite moments. Oh, craze, mate. You don't,
no. Tell them how many, how big, how shallow.
Just absolutely mental. So what happens down in Fiordland is you've got a brackish layer because they have so much rainfall. You have a brackish layer of fresh water so a fresh water layer on top of the salt water layer. So you actually can't see the bottom when you're about to free dive down, and when you back up the arms a little bit. So you swim down, and then it gets clearer, and then just like pop, it's clear, like perfectly clear. You can see like the best visibility you can ask for, and you're just looking around, and then there's massively big crays. Yeah, talking like probably puppy dogs, like oh, I don't know, like the biggest one we got would have been 3.5 kilo, but there were bigger ones there too. So we had our cameraman there on the tank, and he swam down and showed us some footage. Didn't bother grabbing any because you just grab a couple and then you're done. Yeah. But there's just absolutely mental amount of them, and they aren't everywhere though. You do have to work for them. Like one of our spots was right up one of the arms, and then we managed to get a couple there and only 2, and then we found another spot out at the heads, which was awesome because the visitor's a bit better. You can actually see them from the surface. Yeah. And like there was a spot there where there was a crack probably about 1 meter wide by 1 meter high, and it had probably 20 or 30 crays in it. It's absolutely mental.
Sounds like
Jake would say that's a nightmare.
Yeah, do you like crays, Jake? What have you got going on here?
I've got an absolute phobia of crayfish. I just don't know why. Like, literally have nightmares. I'm a 31-year-old man, and I have nightmares of crayfish sometimes.
He's a keen Kiwi fisherman.
I absolutely dream about crayfish. Like, I wake up in the morning, and my wife will be saying, "You were like sleep diving again," and I'll just be like, and just like swimming with my legs. Like, it's absolutely mental.
Wow,
like, I love it. But I get it though. They are pretty freaky creatures, like
the aliens.
But yeah, they absolutely deserve respect though, because the horses down there attack you, and they come out at you, and then once you've grabbed them, like they're so big and wide that you kind of have to get 2 hands on them. And I like that. At one point, I just grabbed one and threw it onto my chest, and then it just grabbed onto my chest because that was the only way I could get it to stay there. I had 2 hands in it, and it was moving around. But if it spiked, it just grabbed onto my wetsuit, and so that was somewhat helpful. But yeah, man,
Did you ride that thing to the surface?
Yeah, you absolutely do, man. They battle you down there, and they're not silly creatures. But we do have to look after them too. So for your listeners out there in the Hauraki Gulf, we've got a bit of work to do in that area. So I know that if you're going for your crays in the Hauraki Gulf, just to obviously limit your catch, don't catch your limit, all that sort of stuff, and just do what you can to grab what you need, obviously for a bit of a feed. Don't need to feed the neighbour and his mate down the road and the other mate over at the shop. Like, just grab what you need, mate, and leave some for everybody else. That's the plan.
That's a fantastic message, and we're actually hoping to do an upcoming episode with one of my mates from school who's a marine biologist based in Hauraki Gulf there, and he's got some pretty eye-opening statistics and what have you, particularly around crayfish and snapper. So look out for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming up, you obviously mentioned you that spot there in Doubtful Sound, and sort of once a season you seem to be doing these like big trips now, normally 2 episodes. Sorry. How do you pick the spots in terms of, like, do you do research? Like, it's all very well to say, like, we're going to Doubtful Sound, for example, but I'm sure there's places there that don't fish too. Like, how do you know your spots? And I suppose a follow-up question to that is there any animosity from people when you're there? They're going, look at these buggers coming down. They're going to show the world our bloody fishery, and we're going to get hammered.
Yeah. Nah, look, so jumping to the first part of that question, there's a lot of research that goes into before we go to a place. So, especially like that Doubtful Sound trip, we didn't know what was going to be there. So in terms of fuel or shops or anything, and there is legitimately nothing there. You can get a little bit of fuel from the old mate there who gives a little bit of fuel to the big commercial boats that are there. But other than that, there's nothing. So you have to take everything with you. So like all of that stuff, the research on how to get across was helpful. That our cousin and our underwater cameraman Ben had spent a bit of time in there before, so he managed to get a few spots. So he had like the blue cod there kind of everywhere. You just fish for them. But shallow water harpooker, he had a spot for harpooker in 4 meters of water. That was He went back to 2 or 3 times, managed to get them every single time. So like we're like, shit, yeah, we've got like pretty epic segment there. But the rest of it was figure it out as we go, just deep drops here and try hunting up there and nothing there, and then go over there. And that's generally what we do with any of the locations we go to. Is you get a little bit of info, and then you give that a go if it's going to work. But then most of the time we work it out off what we've sort of, I guess, the knowledge we've got, and then use our electronics and charts and all of that sort of stuff. And like I say, a little bit of research before we go, but you just have to keep an open mind about some of that info that you get as well, because you might say like, oh yeah, I've caught a 20-pounder here every time I've fished there, but is it that time of year? Is it that tide? Have you got the right baits and rigs and all that sort of stuff? Like it's all very well to have a fishing spot off someone, but this doesn't always work. And I feel sorry for the couple of people that have given us spots over the years, like, yeah, man, this will provide, and you go there and you just get absolutely nothing, and you just flip the script and then try something else. But and then when it comes to second part of that question, what was that, Jake?
So you obviously
animosity.
And just like people a bit wary of having you.
Nah, like we've never had any bad encounters with people, like, and we've fished in some pretty remote and what some people would think of as hostile places, but I don't know what it is. I guess if we obviously always chat to people, and if there's just good friendly buggers. So I think it's being respectful when you're in those places too. So don't park over people's driveways, and maybe if you're thinking, oh, where do I park my boat trailer? You wander into somewhere or find someone to ask, oh, am I right to park my trailer here or there? And most of the time they'll just be absolutely sweet with it. They'll be like, oh mate, park it on my lawn. I'll keep an eye on it. Sweet as. Drop them back a snapper when you're done. And it's, it's nice and easy. Yeah. But yeah, like one of the episodes that aired on the weekend, we were up north in a place called Te Hapua. It's like, I'm sure that a lot of people probably don't fish there because of that reason, but the locals are honestly the best people, like absolutely chill, pretty sick place, horses and cows just wandering everywhere. Like there's just free reign, just all through all the different houses, and on the like rugby field, there's just cows and horses and sheep, like absolutely crack up. Like, but
is that when you went to the Cape?
Cape Maria Van Diemen, and then we've got the second part of that episode is on Sunday. So, but no, honestly, touch wood, we haven't had any issues. I'm just trying to think if there's ever been anything. There's always been a couple of jokers chuck a bit of grease under the handles of the old Colorado or the Isuzu. That always is a goodie.
Yeah,
just for a laugh.
I suppose a follow-up question to that would be is that you are putting yourselves out there, both you and Scott, on the show. Do you get much hate, or do you get sort of negative feedback, and how do you deal with that? Yeah,
I guess those early seasons, I guess we there was like we were pushing the boat out with that, especially with season one.
You were dressed up
lots
like
of different
pirates.
Costumes and dressed up in all sorts of weird outfits, and to be honest, we were pretty new to all of those different forms of fishing. Like pre-fishing and adventure, I think I'd probably caught 1 or 2 legal kingfish, like mental sort of stuff if you think about it. So like we were definitely learning along the way. So there was definitely a bit of hate in those early seasons, and that was hard to take because we were putting our all into those first few years, and we probably didn't deal with them as good as we could have. Like we were always trying to be diplomatic, but we definitely fought back a little bit and stood our ground. But I guess these days don't get a hell of a lot. To be fair, like it's all pretty good positive feedback, and anything that does come up, like we just deal with it how you would deal with it any time. Like just diplomatically, it's a lot of these people are like they might see a shot of us where we're not wearing a life jacket, and we might have just taken a hoodie off, and like 90% of the time we wear a life jacket, but they'll spot that one time that you haven't worn a life jacket, and they'll say, and that's absolutely fair. Like we get those, and any of those other things, like we'll just educate them on what we're doing there, so they might say, why aren't you using a rag to handle your fish? And it's like, well, how we do it is we use our wet hands and stuff like that. So those are generally like the bits of feedback we get. We don't get a hell of a lot of hate when it comes to the show. I guess people are just loving it, and luckily enough, we've got an epic fan base. So if it ever pops up on any fishing sites, then our fan base hit back, and we're an absolute couple of normal jokers. Like we haven't got any. None of this was handed to us on a platter, so it's all these. We've got some good fans out there that bat for us as well. So,
and you do have an amazing fan base. I mean, I've seen you a couple of times at the boat show. It's normally our sort of annual catch up is you on the boat show, and there's always a swag of people hanging around your stand there with the boat, and I'm always amazed. And how do you deal with that too? Like as much as hate can be, how do you deal with people coming up wanting signatures and this sort of thing? Like,
it's pretty outrageous. Like the boat shows, obviously that's our target market 100%. So we do get swamped at the boat show, which is epic, and we absolutely love it. But man, there's a hard 4 days work, I tell you. We make a point of being there the whole time as well. So we're not just there for an hour and then gone. We're there from start to finish. So pretty much anybody, whenever they come in, they can come and catch up with us, because that can be a big part of their boat show experience as well. But it's a hard few days, but it's just, you just do it, and it's awesome. It's awesome catching up with the fans, and especially the kids on the Saturday and the Sunday as well. So, it's pretty bloody cool. It's just, we just do it. It's not a big deal at all, the old boat show.
Yeah.
It sounds like your signature, man. It's been honed, eh? You got it down to.
Oh, it's been absolutely honed. It's an abysmal signature, if I'm perfectly honest, but it's a signature all the same.
Hey, those kids that I saw you signing were bloody happy with it.
Hey,
you've obviously done 9 seasons now with Scott. Have you two ever had a bust up? Have you ever had creative differences or anything like that?
Not too much, to be fair. Pretty good. Like, there can always be like tense moments where you're like, I think we should do this, and then somebody else thinking we should do that. But generally we'll work around it and then figure out the pros and cons of what we need to do with the time frame that we've got, because sometimes you do just need to mix it up, and we're like, well, which way do we see that going? But in terms of creative difference for the overall part of the show, it's just always for the benefit of the show, whatever we're doing. So generally there's no bust ups. Pretty good, cool, creative workspace that we have. It's always pretty good. There's just good, robust discussion, which is never too argumentative. It's just always pretty bloody creative, which is cool. And you need that, because what we're doing, like, it's not just the show too. It's like social media posts and online videos. It's lots of creating that's going on there. So it does have to be a good, like, open, like open chats and honest opinions. Because if there's just one overriding opinion all the time, then people aren't going to open up around what we think we should do next. It's always just going to be that person's opinion. So it does have to be, open discussions with that sort of stuff, which is what we have, which is good.
Awesome. Who's made the biggest cock up out of each of you? Must be someone who's made
absolute great shout. There's been,
I'm sure there's been plenty. I mean,
there's lots of them, and a lot of them make the show, but the odd ones don't, because we're not shooting. But we'll run out of fuel a couple of times. We had to stop.
True.
Yeah, we had to stop
on the boat.
Out the east coast. Nah, not on the boat. Luckily, not on the boat. Sorry, one time on the boat actually. One time on the boat, we ran out of gas, and we're not sure what happened there. I think that was possibly me. So that this can be one for me. But we managed to get home on the Minn Kota.
Oh, wow.
No.
So we all the way over. So launched in, trying to think of where it was. It was either Kawakawa or Beachlands in the Hauraki Gulf.
Wow.
And then we went right over to Firth of Thames, fished around the Mussel Farms on the way back. And we're not far from the ramp, at least, luckily. And then, oh, shit. And then so, Minn Kota home for about an hour and a bit, or a couple of hours on the Minn Kota. Yeah.
Sales pitch for the Minn Kota, if you ask me.
Yeah, man. Honestly, cool bits of kit. And we didn't even have the handpiece with it, so because we weren't planning on using it. So the handpiece was just sitting at the depot, but downloaded the app, and I've got like an app that you can connect to it on your phone. And we just Minn Kota home.
Steering the boat from your phone.
Yeah,
cool.
So that was probably So that was probably that was a muck up on my part. Muck up on Scott's part.
He's claimed it, bro. He's claimed that muck up.
Too many to name. No, he's run out of fuel on the ute a couple of times. There's been the odd, like, leaving lunch at home, leaving rods at home, like there's so many different things, there's so many different elements that comes to a trip. So there's sometimes the most obvious things get left. Pretty good these days, but there's the odd thing from time to time. But I'm trying to think of what Scott's one was. One of the opening sequence, actually, we get asked about it a lot. So in our opening titles of the show, you can see Scott jumping up and then just getting slammed back down into the side of the boat.
Yeah.
So a lot of people ask us around about that and what happened there. So we dropped down to sword fishing back in the day when we hadn't done much sword fishing before, and we were using a breakaway. So you tie a brick on with a light bit of line, and then you try and snap that bit of line by jerking the rod real hard. And no way, we could not get this brick off for the life of us. And we're like, oh, Scott, really put you back into it, like jump up real hard. But he didn't realize that the rod was tethered to the boat. So he jumped up, gave it his all. The tether became real tight, and then just slammed him straight back into the side. Like,
I thought it was a
proper
fish.
heavy. So,
I know the moment you're
Yeah.
talking about. It's as you said, it's in the
Yeah.
opening sequence. That's what
Yeah.
happened there.
yeah, so definitely find those opening sequences. You'll find a couple of those crack up moments that always end up back in there. But
Yeah.
that's one of the ones that frequently asked questions at a boat show. What the hell happened there? So
What happened there?
yeah.
So
Hey Jake,
Yeah.
I'm conscious of time, bro. I'm conscious of this man. He's a dad. He's got to feed the kid.
Oh mate,
You know,
I'm easy. I'm
Yeah.
easy. Up to you guys, mate.
Legend.
Everything's all good. I haven't got
Oh.
a crying baby at the moment that I can hear, so up to you
Oh.
guys, mate.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a couple more for you then, if you don't mind. The one I want to know is
go for it, mate.
who's your audience, and what I mean by that is you obviously go live Saturday afternoon, but
Yeah,
who-
Sundays these days.
sorry, Sunday. My bad there.
Yeah, they're all good.
Well,
Bro, where was your research on this?
this is
Geese
but this
here.
is the
This
point
is
I'm going to
not
make.
good.
This is the point I'm going to
No,
make.
no, you're all good.
Who's watching it then, and who's watching it? Because I always watch it on demand, and I also
Yeah.
always watch your episodes on YouTube. So, is live TV still the way to go for you guys, or is YouTube maybe a new platform that seems to be growing? Or
look, like these online platforms are like some Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, even just the on-demand platforms are growing massively. But at the moment, for our particular show, which is a local-based show, like we're a New Zealand TV show, not like a big online sort of Netflix show, it's still the way to go. Like we're keeping an eye on what can happen in that online space, but that our sort of ratings are still right up there. So trying to think of what some recent ratings for you. Lockdown. Our first episode that aired in lockdown was around that sort of 100,000.
wow.
So that's first play. They're absolutely mental. Like those are good figures. So that's not overly normal. But we do get the odd 100K early in the season when it's sort of dark, daylight savings sort of stuff. So people are sort of hunkered up up at home by 4:30. But it is still the way. Yeah, man. Like it's still the way to go. Like, and that YouTube stuff still is cranking along, but sort of those earlier seasons, I think they're sort of getting around that 30, 40, the ones that are sort of quite popular around that 30, 40, 50 mark, I guess. And then some of the rest of them are getting, sort of around the 20s, I guess. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, I guess we're covering our bases a little bit with YouTube because we have the ability to get them on there. But, we're definitely keeping an eye out for those other platforms as well, because there will be a shift at some point to it just everything being online, and it's probably not that far away. But at the moment, TV is cranking along, and that's where the sponsors see the value, because all of our funding comes from the sponsors. So that's there has to be value there for them. So
that's
awesome.
man.
Well, I think Christian has made a valid point, and I don't want to keep you all night, as much as I'm sure we could talk all night. And
easily.
I could get him back another time, mate, because we've got like part B here in a C. There's so many questions for this dude. Like, we haven't even asked him about his old fishing grounds and all that sort of stuff, and a few GPS coordinates. But anyway,
I'll send them to you on the fly, mate. They're not coming out on here.
Yeah. No, all three of our listeners would pillage those spots.
No, mate, that'll go from 3 to 100,000 real quick if we take the GPS coordinates up.
Maybe if we get rig of Christian, it might go up.
Gang.
Got him.
Out there, right?
But honestly, Mig, thank you so much for coming on today. We know you're a busy man between being a father and obviously host of a leading fishing show. So thank you for giving us the time, and also thank you for being really honest and open with us.
Cheers, team.
I think a lot of people want to know what. We see the finished product, but they want to know the people behind it and all the work that goes in. So thank you so much for joining us. Christian, have you got anything else you want to ask Mig here?
Just one. And I might be jumping in here, Jake, but
go for it.
You might remember I asked you to do a bit of homework, Mig.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So Jake, do you want to lead it in?
Stunning.
Dog of the day.
Okie dokie. So as you know, we do our dog of the month. And we did ask Mig to bring his dog of the month. Now, keeping a warning here, Flynn brought the party down last week, didn't he? That thing that wasn't a dog. That was a
awesome.
danger to navigation.
I thought it was cool.
It was a real.
Quick look at that. That's an absolute shocker.
It was a real lemon. So
Did you send it to Mig, Jake? The lemon.
I saw it on your social, mate. I saw it on your social.
Oh yeah,
he's a follower.
Yeah.
He's a follower.
Yeah,
He's one of the three.
I love the gear, mate.
So have you got one for us there, mate?
I have got one for you,
Oh,
and
so this is...
I'm sure you will see it on the Unable Seaman Instagram page or whatever parts of social they have. So this right here, and it's a listing on Trade Me that I managed to find because I thought, I'll just have a bit of look-see on there and see what gems are there. And the listing says airboat. We got share screen going on here. Okay, I don't know if I can. I'm that technically minded,
if you
mate.
send me the link, I'll share it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll bung you through the link. So this is an airboat, and it's supposed to have a big fan that actually like propels the boat.
Oh my gosh!
And that fan's not even there anymore. And but just the overall look of this boat is absolutely wrong, and it's just like no seats. It's an absolute shocker.
My gosh.
And I just think there's no place for a boat that doesn't have a prop. To be perfectly honest with you,
there's no place for a boat that what?
Doesn't have a prop.
No,
so it's got a mast. It's got a mast with a sail on it.
Controversial. A controversial call. You're going to get cancelled. You're going to get cancelled.
Go away. And let alone fiberglass. Don't get me started on fiberglass.
Oh, no, I won't have that.
I knew I'd get a bite on that. You boys love a bit of fiberglass.
Here we go.
We love fiberglass.
Hey, Jake, you've hosted. The hosted disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what to do that. Just send it to me on Facebook. That's the easiest way. That's how we normally do it. Sorry, listeners. There's a bit of admin here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be worth it. I'm just a little bit gobsmacked after.
Here you go, mate. Here you go.
Some outrageous shouts going on.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
so we're not going to see a fiberglass boat sponsor on the show anytime soon by the sound of it.
You never say never. But I don't know if fiberglass could handle what we put our boats through.
Listen to him. Oh my giddy aunt. Okay, so I'm just looking at Meg's dog of the month there, and is it trying to be one of those? To give the listeners a bit of a picture here, you know, in Florida and that you see them go up through the mangroves with those big fan boats. Yeah. Exactly. But as you said, it's a fan boat without the fan, so it's just
somewhat important piece of machinery.
And how much does he want for it?
He wants $750 for it. It's not expensive.
Hang on, never been in the water.
Is that what it said? I didn't read the listing.
And it's an extra $500 for the trailer.
Okay, now
yarns.
This is rubbish. That
is taken.
It is a new boat, but that's the Mickey. That
never been. No, it's certainly never been in the water. Yarns. The thing's about 50 years old and not looked after, and needs a microlight motor. Where the hell do you find one of them?
Go down to your local airfield, I think.
Yeah, how good.
Steal one off a plane. They don't need it.
So Mick said a couple of controversial things here. He says boats need to be alloy. None of this fiberglass rubbish. Ooh, okay. He's painting himself into a corner.
I'm probably lost a few fans of the show now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Absolutely needs a propeller, mate. Yep.
Now, Christian, you've got some big shoes to fill here because I'm going to call you out. Last time with Flynn on the show, your dogs weren't that doggy, if I'm honest.
Hey, well, that's just saying something. That means you actually like my boat.
It means I actually made an offer on one of them. But I see you've sent one through here.
I've sent one through. Now share screen. Share it to Meg.
I don't even know how to do that. Just share it to him on Facebook.
Okay, I'll share it to Meg.
While you're doing that, I'll give you a rundown. Christian loves these. Christian's got a real thing for like an alloy hull. It started off as a production alloy hull, but then someone has decided to glue their own bits on.
What is the sponsor though? Look at the sponsor.
Well, I saw this one when I was looking for my dog. It's an absolute shocker. Absolute shocker.
The bimini looks like it belongs on something about 10 times bigger, and there's some sort of like cat cage welded to the front, or is that a cray pot?
That's a cray pot. That's your favourite, mate.
Okay.
And the key sponsor, the finest beverage known
the finest
to
beverage in the land.
Yep, yeah. Tui beer. Hey, I still like Tui, so I'm okay with that. And if there's any Tui breweries out there, you know, they want to send us a couple of tasty elbow benders,
you can send them to Christian.
Send them to me. Send them to me.
I must say, your dog, Christian, looks like it's got about a 2.5 horsepower motor on the back too, might I add.
Hey, it's a Yamaha. That's as reliable as a coal burning stove.
Oh, mate. I don't know.
He doesn't know.
It looks grim.
Pretty sexy.
It is a sexy paint job.
Awful.
That's got a bit of Steve in it there, Christian.
It does. And one day...
It's got a bit of Steve look to it.
You remember Steve. Meg.
Absolutely great. Great vessel.
They used to haul the babes in.
Yeah.
That's debatable. Yep.
I think that's a good place to end it after Christian's horrific comment there.
This was fair.
But yes, mate, thanks once again for joining us. To our listeners out there, I hope you've enjoyed this one. We've certainly enjoyed making it. Really good to have a chat to Mig here. And also completely unique for us that we've made a podcast back to back almost with another one. I'd love to say that we're going to make another one equally as prudent, but Christian's shaking his head, I'm sure. But we will be back to you within a month. I promise you it'll be within a month. We've got some other
promises you can't keep.
Yeah, I'm going to make that promise. Just a little reminder of our little promotion. If you share this podcast on your social media, tag us in it and let us know. By next weekend, there's Flynn's 4 favourite lures there. I promise I'm not going to take them out of the box and have a little go at them first. They will be unused and I will send them out to you. And we've got some exciting things coming up. I'm going to post all of the dog of the days and anything else we've spoken about to our Instagram @UnableSeaman. So thank you to all the people who have followed those. Thank you once again, Mig. Thank you, Christian.
Cheers,
and we
guys.
shall see you in a month's time. Haere rā.
Beautiful.